Cano. We've got 5 minutes to do a brief introduction, and then we're going to follow up with a couple questions.
Excellent. Thank you.
I carry notes everywhere.
Well, thank you very much. Coming up I-77, I realize why this is such a big issue. An hour and 45 minutes to get here. My name is Christian Cano. I was born in Texas. That's the only thing I have in common with Robert Pittenger, that we were both born in Texas. My family has been here since 1862, and my family in Texas has been in Texas since before Texas was Texas. So when I get into debates with Robert Pittenger about immigration and about who was more American and who was more patriot, I don't think he can trump me. And someone can always trump someone else. I attended Texas Christian University. I was the first person in my family to attend college. After that, I went into the radio business in sales, and realizing I couldn't make any money because I'm a terrible salesperson. And after that, I actually had the good fortune to go into the hospitality business, in the hotel business. And I spent about 20 years managing hotels, opening hotels around the country, and I'm very proud of the work that I did during that time period. So, like one of our colleagues, gentlemen, candidates here, I am not a professional politician. I am a former business person who made the decision 2 years ago, after attending a town hall meeting, listening to Robert Pittenger, that someone has to stand up and run against him, because it is terrible. That first of all, that any candidate should ever run unopposed. That is something that we all need options. And when I made that decision, I actually made an announcement at our Democratic meeting in Mecklenburg County that I said that if no one will stand up and run against Robert Pittenger, I will stand up and run against him. And I was a man of my word. No one stood up, so I entered the race. And that's why we're here today. I just need to tell you 2 quick things about our campaign. We're obviously not a very traditional campaign. I'm the only congressional candidate in the nation that is not asking for money. I'm the only candidate that's never done that. I'm also the only candidate in the nation that has an all-volunteer staff. I've never met a candidate who's ever had enough money. That's one of the reasons I made the decision not to play that game. If people want to donate money to our campaign because they believe in the message that we're giving, that's wonderful. But we have made the decision that we're not in this to sign the television stations a profit, and we're not in this to hire very high paid consultants. We're in this to deliver a message that we think is best for our neighbors in our district. So that is who I am. I know that's a very brief explanation of who I am. I obviously am not a professional politician, so I don't normally sit in front of people and talk. I'm usually in the back listening. One of the things that we also made a decision to do, and I made this pledge when we made the announcement, is because I do not believe that people should be professional politicians. I believe that our founding fathers meant for us to be citizen Americans, or citizen, and as a result of that, what I have done is I've committed to self-imposed term limits to myself. I will only serve 2 terms. I will also fight for legislation that would also have self-imposed term limits for Senate. 12 years in the Senate is a long time. That is way too long for anyone to be in office. And I think when we implement self-imposed term limits, it allows us to start to address long-term issues like infrastructure, like issues that we cannot do because we're so worried about who's going to donate to us the next 2 years. So my time is up, and I'm happy to answer some questions.
And I think we've got a couple questions from the panel here. Sean?
Yes. Right now, immigration is a hot topic. What are your thoughts about immigration?
This is literally the question I'm asked. I think because I'm Latino, people just assume I'm the immigration expert in this area. That's one of the reasons I asked. I fully support the president's actions. I think what he did was legal. I think what he did was necessary. And I really admire his bravery in doing it. because there's so much passion surrounding our immigration challenges that we have. I stand in support in the Democratic Party in addressing this issue. I believe that we do need immigration reform, so that way we can address the 11 million undocumented people in our country. We need to bring them out from the shadows. We need to know who they are. We need to provide them with identification, so that way we are all secure. We know who they are. Growing up in Texas, we need to provide them with driver's licenses so they can get insurance, so when they run into us, they don't jump out of the car and run off. You know, these to me are just very common sense things that we need to do. But I also believe, as everyone else does, that we need to secure our borders. I think I'm a little bit more realistic in securing our borders. Anyone who thinks that we can afford to build a wall is not, in my view, a living reality. It's great to say things like that, but that's not a reality, to build a wall. So I do believe there are ways that we can secure our border. I think Texas has done some great work. I think that we obviously need better relationships with our neighbors, with our neighbor Mexico, with our neighbors in Canada. And that's one of the things that really got me into this race, is hearing just the hateful rhetoric from our congressmen about immigration, about border kids. And without understanding that the majority of money that comes into our county, in our district, is from Mexico. They are the largest investors in businesses in our district. And for him to say these things when our neighbor is actually providing capital that we need to run businesses, it's just outrageous. So the first thing that I would do is have a summit here in our district, invite our neighbors from Mexico, invite our neighbors from Canada, and say, what do we need to do to export more to your nation? What do we need to do to send you more of the goods that you need? We actually export more than China does to those two countries. And that's an issue, I think, that we really need to bring out to the public and we need to address. But immigration is a very serious issue, and I think we need to put a human face on it. I don't believe that any human being is illegal, and that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this. Next question.
The American Association of University Women recently found that women in the 9th District of North Carolina make 75 cents for every dollar a man makes with the same credentials and profession. Should employers be required to pay men and women to perform the same work for the same salary?
That's a no-brainer. Yes, of course. You know, I was raised by very strong Latino women, and I can't imagine the fact that they grew up in a time period where they were not paid equally to their male counterparts, and unfortunately that was the time. The 20 years I spent in the hotel business, I was very passionate about making sure that all of my clients abided by certain standards that I required them to do. I've opened several hotels around the country. I opened the very first boutique hotel in Atlanta, Georgia. I faced a very, very tough owner who wanted me just to hire very pretty blonde people there. And one of the things that I think that we can do, and I think that our president has done very well, is use executive action to require that government contractors abide by standards that he has set. And it's amazing, especially in the hotel business, when there's so much government travel. Any hotel that accepts government travel, the government per diem, is bound by whatever the executive order is. So that hotel immediately has to raise their standards up to whatever the executive order is. And I also, it's just smart business. It's smart business to treat everyone equally. And I think, and another thing that I think is missing from this conversation that we don't talk about, and I call this group the forgotten few. We don't talk about seniors and age discrimination. I was hounded for 2 months by the Charlotte Observer to find out my date of birth. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to tell him my date of birth. It's public record. If you want to look for it, you find it. But the reason I did not want to do that was because in the 20 years that I spent in the hotel business, I fought against age discrimination. I felt like if someone wanted to continue a career or whatever, that we should have safety guards in place to know how old they are. And in the hotel business, in many industries, we have those. You cannot put your age on an application. So why the Charlotte Observer would print Christian Cano running for Congress, 49 years old, Robert Pittenger running for Congress, 60-something years old. I don't want people not to vote for Robert Pittenger because they think he's too old. I want them not to vote for him because he's just a crazy guy and is a terrible congressman. And so age discrimination is very important. We have a lot of seniors in our district that have been discriminated against because of their age, who are looking to get a part-time job to supplement their income. And it's very difficult for them because of the fact that there is this age discrimination. So that I think that's, I hope I answered, I'm not sure, I think I kind of rambled there for a while, but that's a very, very important issue.
I think that'll wrap it up. Thank
Okay.
you so much, Mr.
Thank you.
Cano.